Have you ever seen a woman so beautiful that the mirror refused to show her? That question echoed in the mind of Ethan Graves, even years after the night he saw her. He thought he was dreaming back then, until the disappearances began. It started in a small coastal town in Maine, wrapped in mist and silence. The locals called it Ravenshade, a place forgotten by time, where the waves sounded like whispers of the dead. People said the ocean there remembered things, and sometimes it whispered them back. Ethan, a 34-year-old photographer from Boston, had come to Ravenshade for solitude. He'd been struggling after the death of his fiancée, Clara. She had drowned 2 years earlier under mysterious circumstances, her body never found. To cope, Ethan decided to take photos of the lonely landscapes for a new project titled Echoes of the Lost. But he didn't expect the town to feel so wrong. Every night fog rolled in, thick as smoke, swallowing the houses whole. The locals avoided eye contact, locking their doors by sunset. When Ethan asked about it, they all gave the same strange reply. The mist hides things better left unseen. He thought it was just small-town superstition, until the night he met her. It was a Thursday evening. The fog had arrived earlier than usual, curling through the empty streets like pale serpents. Ethan was walking back to his rented cabin near the cliffs when he saw a faint glow in the distance, soft, golden, flickering like candlelight. Curiosity pulled him closer. There, half hidden behind a veil of mist, stood an old mansion, tall, silent, and decaying. The windows were black except for one upstairs where a candle burned. The faint silhouette of a woman stood behind it, motionless. She looked sad. Ethan lifted his camera and clicked. The shutter snapped through the silence. But when he looked at the photo's preview, the window was empty. The candlelight was gone. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. The candle was still burning. The woman was still there. Except, she was now looking straight at him. A chill rippled down his spine. He lowered the camera and stepped back. The mist thickened, swirling around him like cold breath. For a second it felt like fingers brushing against his neck. Then, from somewhere behind him, a voice, soft, melodic, almost whispering, said, "You shouldn't take what doesn't belong to you." Ethan froze. He turned slowly, heart hammering. A woman stood there, no more than 10 feet away. She wore a black velvet dress, her skin pale as moonlight, her eyes a deep crimson that caught the faint glimmer of his flashlight. She smiled, and in that moment, Ethan felt both terrified and mesmerized. I'm sorry," he stammered. "I didn't mean—" "You took my picture," she said gently, stepping closer. "No one has done that in a very, very long time." He couldn't move. Something about her presence, her voice, was paralyzing. Not in fear exactly, but fascination. Like being trapped in the calm before a storm. "Who are you?" Ethan managed to whisper. "A prisoner," she said softly. "Like you." Her words made no sense. But before he could respond, she tilted her head, listening. Her expression darkened. "You should leave," she whispered urgently. "The night listens here." Ethan looked around. The fog had thickened so much he could barely see his own hands. When he turned back to the woman, she was gone. Only her voice remained, fading through the mist. "Don't look for me again, Ethan Graves." He stood there, stunned. How did she know his name? That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The photo he'd taken still showed an empty window. Yet her face burned in his mind. The crimson eyes, the soft sadness in her tone. He had to know more. The next morning he went into town to ask the locals about the mansion. When he mentioned its location, the cafe owner froze mid-pour, spilling coffee on the counter. "You didn't go there, did you?" she whispered. "That's the old Marrow house. It's been empty for over 100 years." "Empty?" Ethan frowned. "I saw someone—" "No one lives there," she snapped, voice trembling. "The last owner, Lady Isolde Marrow, vanished in 1893. They said she drank the blood of her lovers to stay young. Her body was never found. Ethan felt his stomach drop. Lady Isolde Marrow, a vampire legend, the kind people tell drunk around bonfires. He forced a laugh. You don't believe that, do you? The woman didn't smile. The last man who said that disappeared 3 nights later. They found his boat drifting off the coast, his skin white as paper. That evening, Ethan couldn't resist. He packed his camera, a flashlight, and headed back toward the cliffs. The mist was already waiting. The mansion looked even more sinister up close, its windows shattered, doors rotting, the iron gate half buried in ivy. But what unnerved him most was the silence. No insects, no wind, just the low hum of the sea. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and something sweet, like decaying roses. Portraits lined the hallway, each depicting the same woman through the years. Her face didn't change, only the clothes did. He recognized her instantly. It was the woman from last night. One of the portraits had a plaque. Lady Isolde Marrow, 1851. Ethan raised his camera, snapping a shot. The flash burst through the darkness. But when the image appeared, her face was blurred, almost erased, as if something inhuman was trying to hide. A sudden sound broke the stillness. Footsteps. Slow. Coming from upstairs. He froze, flashlight trembling. Each step was deliberate, echoing through the decayed halls. Then came a faint voice, hers again. You shouldn't have come back. He turned toward the staircase. The candlelight flickered again upstairs, the same window as before glowing faintly. And standing at the top was Isolde, looking down at him. Her crimson eyes glimmered like coals. You've awakened something, she whispered, and it will not let you leave. Ethan backed away, heart pounding. I just wanted to talk. Talk, she laughed softly. Humans never come to talk. They come to hunt, to expose, to destroy. Her voice dropped lower. But I am no monster, Ethan Graves. I was made one. He didn't know what she meant. But before he could respond, something behind him slammed. The front door shut itself. The lock turned. He spun around, flashlight jerking wildly. The walls seemed to pulse. The shadows moved. What do you want from me? He shouted. I want to forget, she said, appearing just behind him. He jumped back, gasping. She stood impossibly close, her eyes glowing faintly. But the blood remembers. Always. Her cold fingers brushed his face, gentle yet commanding. And for a brief second, he saw memories flash before his eyes. Blood-soaked halls, screams, men in black coats dragging a woman into the night, fire, betrayal. Then, Clara's face, his fiancée. He gasped, stumbling backward. No, how do you... Isolde's expression turned sorrowful. Your Clara came here. She was looking for you. The words hit him like a hammer. That's impossible. She drowned. She did not drown, Ethan. She came to me. And she begged to forget her pain. Her eyes darkened. So I gave her what she wanted. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Where is she? He whispered. Isolde's lips curved faintly. She's still here. Before he could speak, the light flickered, then went out completely. A hand brushed his shoulder, cold, familiar, and a voice, trembling yet unmistakable, whispered into his ear. Ethan, why did you come back? He turned slowly, and there she was, Clara. Her once blue eyes now crimson, her lips pale. Blood stained the corners of her mouth. Ethan staggered back in horror. No, this can't be real. But she smiled, her tears glistening red under the candlelight. She saved me, Ethan. She saved us both. From the shadows behind her, Isolde's soft voice rose again. Now, Ethan, you must choose. To die, or to stay forever. The walls trembled. The mist seeped through the cracks, swirling around their feet like living smoke. Ethan tried to run, but the floor beneath him cracked open like a mouth. The last thing he saw before falling into the darkness below was Isolde's crimson eyes, watching calmly, almost lovingly. What lies beneath Marrow House? And what secret binds Ethan, Clara, and Lady Isolde together in blood and betrayal? The fall felt endless. Ethan's body twisted through pitch-black air before crashing onto something cold and wet. For several seconds he couldn't breathe. His ribs screamed in pain, but his mind burned even hotter. With the image of Clara's crimson eyes staring down at him as if she no longer recognized his soul. When he finally lifted his head, he realized he wasn't dead. He was lying in a vast underground tunnel. The air was damp, thick with the metallic scent of rust, or maybe blood. A dim, unnatural glow emanated from somewhere ahead, enough to reveal walls carved from black stone, etched with symbols that looked disturbingly organic, as if the rock itself had been branded by living hands. He staggered to his feet. The sound of dripping echoed endlessly like a heartbeat in the dark. His flashlight flickered weakly, illuminating broken bones scattered along the tunnel floor. Some were human, others weren't. Then, faintly, he heard it. A woman humming. The same soft, haunting melody Clara used to hum when painting in the morning light. "Clara," he whispered, his voice cracking against the echo. The humming stopped. A moment later it began again, this time behind him. He spun around, light jerking wildly, heart hammering against his ribs. Nothing. Just the endless stretch of darkness. "Ethan." The voice floated through the air, delicate and trembling. "It's me." He froze. That voice. He would have known it anywhere. He moved forward cautiously, following the sound down a narrow side passage. The walls grew closer, pressing in. He could see faint handprints smeared into the stone, long and dark like shadows burned into memory. Then he saw her. Clara stood at the end of the passage, wearing the same white dress she drowned in 2 years ago. Only now it was gray with ash, and the hem was soaked in something darker. Her eyes shimmered like wine in the faint light. She smiled softly, almost sadly. "You shouldn't have come back, Ethan," she whispered. He took a step closer, trembling. "Clara, what happened to you? What is this place?" "It's where time forgets," she said. "Where pain sleeps. Where love is reborn in hunger." Ethan shook his head, backing away. "No, that's not you talking. Isolde, did something to you." Clara tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "Isolde saved me when you couldn't. She took away the pain, the fear, the endless drowning." Her eyes darkened. "You left me to die, Ethan. Don't you remember?" Her voice was sharp now, cutting through the air like ice. Ethan's breath faltered. "That's not true. I searched for you for months. The Coast Guard." She raised her hand. "No one finds what the sea keeps." He saw something shimmer on her wrist. An old silver locket, the one he had given her on their anniversary. Only now, it bore a small, red gemstone in its center. The light inside it pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. "What is that?" he asked. Clara looked down at it tenderly. "A gift from her. It keeps me alive." Suddenly, a deep guttural sound rose from the tunnels ahead. A growl, inhuman, ancient. The air grew colder. The walls began to vibrate. Clara's eyes widened with fear. "She's coming," she whispered. "You shouldn't have followed the blood." "Who's coming?" Ethan demanded. "The one she couldn't kill," Clara said. "The one who made her." Before he could ask more, she vanished, fading into mist like a memory torn apart by wind. Then came the footsteps, slow, heavy, wet. Ethan aimed his flickering light down the tunnel and froze. A figure emerged from the dark, crawling on all fours, its limbs impossibly long. Its skin hung loose, pale as wax. Its face, if it could be called that, was a warped mask of fangs and hollow eyes. Yet something about it felt familiar. It spoke in a voice that was neither human nor beast. "Ethan Graves, you carry her scent." He stumbled backward, trembling, Whose scent? The Queen's. The creature lunged, impossibly fast, slamming him to the ground. Its breath was icy, its teeth inches from his throat. Ethan fought, kicking and punching, but the thing was too strong. He grabbed a rusted metal rod from the ground and swung it wildly, driving it through the creature's shoulder. The monster screamed, a sound so piercing the walls shook. It retreated, disappearing into the shadows. Ethan gasped for breath, his heart pounding like thunder. He turned to run, only to see a faint figure watching him from the end of the corridor. Isolde Marrow. Her crimson eyes gleamed with sorrow and hunger. "Now you've seen it," she said softly. "Now you understand why I can't let you leave." The ground beneath them began to quake again, the stones cracking as if the catacombs themselves were alive. Ethan stumbled toward her, desperate. "Tell me what's happening. What is that thing?" "My past," Isolde whispered. "And your future." Before he could move, the ceiling split open above him, and a torrent of black water began to pour down, swallowing the tunnel in seconds. Ethan's scream vanished into the flood. What ancient evil did Lady Isolde unleash, and what truth connects Ethan's blood to the creature beneath Marrow House? Ethan awoke choking on cold, stagnant water. His lungs burned as he clawed his way to the surface, gasping, his hand slapping against slick stone. The faint echo of dripping water surrounded him like the slow ticking of a clock counting down to his end. He coughed violently and pushed himself upright, his flashlight miraculously still clutched in one trembling hand. Its weak beam revealed what looked like an underground chamber, vast and circular, carved into the bedrock centuries ago. The walls were covered in carvings, figures of women in flowing gowns, surrounded by kneeling men with their throats open, their blood streaming upward into a chalice. At the center of the room stood a stone altar, cracked and stained dark. Ethan staggered toward it, his mind reeling, his body trembling from both cold and terror. He could hear whispers, soft and broken, threading through the waterlogged air. They came from nowhere and everywhere at once. He turned slowly, and for a fleeting second he saw faces in the walls. Hundreds of them. Some looked human, others monstrous. All were carved in silent screams. A voice spoke behind him, calm and timeless. "This is where I was born." Ethan spun around. Isolde stood in the doorway of the chamber, her black gown untouched by water or dirt, her crimson eyes glowing faintly in the gloom. She moved like mist, soundless, graceful, ancient. "What do you want from me?" Ethan demanded, his voice hoarse. "Why bring me here?" "You brought yourself," she said softly. "You followed her, and by doing so, you reopened what should never have been disturbed." Ethan clenched his fists. "That creature, what was it?" Isolde's expression darkened. She walked slowly around the altar, her fingers tracing the grooves of the carvings. "Once," she said, "before I was cursed with this hunger, there was a man named Lord Darius. He was my husband, my master. He built this house over the ruins of an older world, a temple to things the church tried to erase." Her eyes flickered with ancient pain. "He promised me eternity, but eternity came with a cost. He drank from the chalice you see before you, believing it held the blood of angels. Instead, it was the blood of something far older, something that does not forgive." Ethan felt the room grow colder. "You're saying he became the first of us," she said, "and when I refused to join him, he tore open my heart and fed me my own blood. I awoke 3 days later in this chamber, surrounded by corpses. His body was gone, but his voice still whispers beneath the stone." Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears. "That thing I saw, it was him, wasn't it?" Isolde met his gaze, her eyes shimmering with both sorrow and fury. "What's left of him?" The water around the altar rippled violently as if something massive moved beneath it. Ethan stepped back. "Why am I here, Isolde? What does this have to do with me or Clara?" She walked toward him slowly, her bare feet silent on the wet stone. "Because," she said, "the blood remembers its maker, and your blood remembers mine." He froze. What are you talking about? She stopped inches from him, her cold breath brushing against his skin. Your family came from this house, Ethan. From me. I can feel it in your pulse. You are the last of my bloodline, the last of the cursed. That's why she came for you. Why Clara found her way back to me. She was drawn by your blood's call. The words struck him like thunder. No, that's impossible. My family, my parents. Never told you the truth, she interrupted. Your great-grandmother was taken from this house as a child, hidden among the mortals. But her blood remained pure. Yours is the last that carries both life and the hunger. Ethan's knees weakened. He stumbled backward until he hit the wall. So what? What happens now? Isolde's gaze softened, almost pitying. Now you must choose. Either embrace what you are and help me seal him away again or run, and let him rise through you. The water beneath them began to churn violently. Ethan could hear a deep, guttural roar rising from below, echoing through the stone like 1,000 voices screaming at once. The altar began to crack apart, releasing streams of black vapor that filled the air with the stench of rot. Isolde grabbed his arm. Her grip was icy but desperate. He's awakening, Ethan. If he takes form again, the world above will drown in his shadow. Ethan's head spun. Then kill me. If it stops him. It won't, she shouted. Only the blood can contain him. Yours and mine together. The same blood that cursed us both. The ground split open. The altar shattered completely, and a hand, pale, monstrous, and dripping with blood, rose from the black water below. Its claws scraped the stone, carving deep scars into the floor. Isolde's voice trembled for the first time. He is here. Ethan turned toward her, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. What do I do? Isolde's crimson eyes glowed brighter. She stepped closer, lifting her hand to his face. You let go, she whispered, of everything you were, and you become what you were meant to be. Before he could react, she pressed her palm against his chest, right over his heart. Pain exploded through his body, white-hot and endless. He screamed, feeling his blood ignite like fire. His vision blurred, his veins glowed red beneath his skin, and as the darkness swallowed him once more, he heard her final whisper, "The crimson veil must live again." Ethan's scream echoed through the catacombs until it no longer sounded human. The light inside his veins flared like molten fire, spreading through every inch of his body. He collapsed against the cold stone, gasping, clawing at his chest as though he could tear the burning out of him. Every heartbeat felt like thunder, each pulse a wave of agony and awakening. When he opened his eyes, everything had changed. The darkness was no longer dark. He could see every detail, the faint shimmer of blood embedded in the cracks of the wall, the veins pulsing beneath the stone, the mist that rose like breath from the earth itself. He could hear the water droplets falling miles away, hear the slow heartbeat of the creature still lurking beneath the altar's ruins, and through it all he could hear her, Isolde, whispering in his mind. The veil is thin now, Ethan. You are the bridge between worlds. He staggered to his feet, trembling. His reflection shimmered faintly in the black water. His eyes now glowed faintly red, and veins of crimson light traced down his neck. He looked both alive and dead, human, and something far beyond it. Isolde, he whispered hoarsely, what have you done to me? Her voice echoed softly, though she was nowhere to be seen. I have given you what I was forced to endure. The blood remembers its maker, and now it remembers you. You carry my curse, but also my power. Only through you can he be stopped. Ethan's thoughts spiraled. His mind flickered with visions, flashes of Isolde centuries ago, standing before a burning mansion, her husband's monstrous form towering behind her. He saw her weeping as she slit her own throat, only to awaken days later surrounded by corpses. He felt her rage, her despair, her endless hunger. And buried deep within it all was love. a love twisted by blood and time. The ground shuddered violently, shaking him from the vision. A deep roar bellowed from the flooded pit, so loud it made the walls crack. Ethan stumbled backward as the black water began to boil, releasing a stench of rot and death. Then from the depths it rose again. The creature, Lord Darius, emerged in full, his body a grotesque fusion of flesh and shadow. His face was barely human, a mask of bone and sinew. Long black tendrils writhed from his back, dripping with something that burned through stone like acid. His eyes, empty sockets, still seemed to see. "You smell of her," he growled, his voice shaking the chamber. "You bear her curse." Ethan's heart pounded. The creature's presence was unbearable, radiating a darkness so ancient it felt older than death itself. "You should have stayed buried," Ethan said through gritted teeth. Darius smiled, a twisted, skinless grin. "I never die, I only wait, until the blood calls me home." He lunged forward faster than any living thing should move. Ethan barely dodged, the impact cracking the ground where he'd stood. Instinct took over. He grabbed a fragment of broken stone from the altar, its edge glowing faintly red in his hand. He didn't know why, but he knew what it could do. The two collided again, stone against claw, blood against shadow. Each strike sent shockwaves through the air, shaking dust from the ceiling. Ethan felt something primal awakening inside him. Strength that wasn't his, speed that wasn't human. His wounds closed as soon as they were made. His fear began to fade, replaced by something terrifying, hunger. He could smell Darius's blood. It called to him like a song. He struck again, driving the glowing shard deep into the creature's arm. The monster roared, stumbling back. For a moment, Ethan saw something flicker in its face. Recognition. "You are mine," Darius hissed. "My blood. My creation." Ethan froze. His mind flashed with memories not his own, images of Darius standing beside a cradle centuries ago, a child crying, a woman with crimson eyes watching from the shadows. "Your blood runs through me," Ethan whispered. "You made me." Darius grinned. "You were meant to be my vessel, the final heir. Isolde thought she could hide you among mortals, but blood always finds its home." Ethan's world tilted. The truth was worse than any nightmare. He was never human to begin with. Every moment of his life, every heartbeat had been leading him back here, to this chamber, to this curse, to him. Suddenly a voice screamed through the darkness. "Ethan, don't listen to him." Clara appeared from the shadows, her crimson eyes bright with terror. She rushed toward him, but Darius caught her in one clawed hand, lifting her effortlessly. "Ah, the bride," he sneered. "Her blood carries my echo too. How poetic. Shall we reunite the family?" "Let her go," Ethan roared, his voice shaking the chamber. The glow beneath his skin flared brighter, and for an instant, his heartbeat matched the rhythm of the earth. Power surged through him, hot and ancient. He lunged forward, tackling Darius with an inhuman force that sent both crashing through a stone wall. The tunnel collapsed around them. Water rushed in from every direction. Clara screamed his name as she disappeared behind a curtain of falling debris. In the chaos, Ethan felt the world blur. The monster's voice whispered inside his skull, merging with his own thoughts. "You can't kill me, boy. You are me." Ethan screamed in rage and despair as the black water swallowed them both. The world around Mara was a storm of crimson haze and whispers. Her body felt weightless, her mind a battlefield of screams and memories that weren't hers. She tried to move, but her limbs wouldn't obey. Beneath her, the cathedral's stone floor had vanished. Now she stood in a boundless darkness that rippled like water, reflecting flashes of lives she'd never lived. A castle burning under a blood moon, a woman's cry echoing through an ancient forest, a child with eyes like hers, staring into a coffin that would not close. And then, silence. When the fog cleared, Mara found herself standing in a vast chamber made of black marble veins that glowed faintly with red light. Shadows moved along the walls like living things, whispering her name in a dozen voices. Ahead stood the three sisters, unchanged, beautiful, eternal. They watched her with unreadable expressions, and behind them stood the altar from before, the skin-bound book resting upon it. Only now its cover was wide open, pages fluttering as if caught in a wind that came from nowhere. "You feel it, don't you?" said the first sister, her tone both proud and cruel. "The hunger awakening, the blood remembering what it is." Mara clenched her fists, trying to steady her breath. "I'm not like you. I won't become this." The second sister smiled sadly, her eyes glowing with something close to pity. "You already have, child. You crossed the threshold the moment you stepped into Ravenshade. You didn't come here to stop us. You came because you were called." Memories surged through her like fire, dreams she'd ignored for years, strange moments when her reflection had lagged in mirrors, when her pulse had fallen silent for minutes. Even the murders she'd investigated, the victims' homes had all been near her old neighborhoods. Near her. Her stomach twisted. "You killed those people to lure me here." The third sister stepped forward, her voice soft as death. "No, we didn't kill them. You did." The words hit her like a blade. "What?" The shadows around them began to move faster, taking shape. Faces of the dead, pale and hollow-eyed, whispering her name. "Mara. Mara." The eldest sister raised her hand, and the darkness bent to her will. The scenes replayed before Mara's eyes. The alleyways, the blood, the bodies. She saw herself in every one, pale, cold, with eyes that glowed faintly red. Her mind screamed no, but the truth clawed through her resistance. "You've been awakening for months," the sister said softly. "We only guided what was already happening." Mara fell to her knees, trembling. "No, I remember chasing you. I remember the bodies." "You remember fragments," the first hissed. "A human mind trying to rationalize the inhuman. Every kill brought you closer to remembering what you are. You are the last of us, the daughter of Crimson Eve, the first blood sister who tried to live among mortals." The name sent a chill through her veins. Her mother, she'd died when Mara was a child, or so she thought. "She didn't die," said the second sister, as if reading her thoughts. "She was hunted, burned. You were taken before we could reach you. Your human father hid you under another name. But blood cannot be buried, Mara." The altar pulsed and the book began to hum, a low, droning sound that vibrated in her chest. A strange compulsion tugged at her feet, drawing her closer. The sisters stepped aside, leaving the path open. "Your rebirth is incomplete," the eldest said. "You must choose. Accept your nature, or die as something neither human nor vampire, a shadow caught between worlds." Mara stood, heart thundering in her chest, though she could barely feel it anymore. She looked down at her hands. The veins beneath her skin glowed faintly red, her fingernails sharp as glass. She could feel power whispering beneath her flesh, ancient, hungry, infinite. And in that moment, another voice rose. Faint, distant, but familiar. Her mother's voice. "Don't trust them." Mara froze. The whisper came from inside her mind, soft, yet commanding. "They want you to bind yourself to the book of blood, but that book is not ours. It was forged by the priests who tried to enslave us. It feeds on our curse." Her breath quickened. The sisters watched her, their expressions tightening as if they sensed her hesitation. "Mara," said the first sister, her voice low and urgent, "you are one of us. Complete the ritual. End the centuries of hiding. With you, we can rule both the living and the damned." But her mother's voice grew stronger. "They don't seek freedom. They seek dominion. They murdered me because I refused to serve that book." Mara's mind spun between two worlds, the pull of her heritage and the echo of her humanity. Then the eldest sister stepped closer, her eyes burning with rage. "Do not listen to ghosts. You belong to us." The altar flared like a furnace, casting red light across the chamber. Mara felt the power surge toward her, begging to be accepted. But deep within her chest, beneath all the confusion and fear, something broke free. A choice, sharp and final. "No," she said. "I don't belong to you, or to anyone." In one motion, she grabbed the book of blood from the altar. The sisters screamed, lunging toward her, but before they reached her, she drove her hand through the book's heart, tearing the pulsating core within. A blinding explosion of red light filled the chamber. The sisters' screams turned into shrieks of agony as their bodies began to dissolve into mist, their forms unraveling into dust. Mara collapsed to the ground, her body burning, her vision fading to white. She felt the curse surge through her one last time and then silence. When she opened her eyes, dawn had broken over Ravenshade. The cathedral was gone, reduced to rubble. The storm had cleared, leaving only stillness. Mara stood slowly, her reflection caught in a shard of broken glass beside her. Her eyes were no longer red. They shimmered gold, like fire at sunrise. The hunger was gone, the whispers silent. She had destroyed the curse, or so she thought. As she turned to leave, she noticed something carved faintly into the glass, her reflection smiling back at her even though she wasn't, and from the ruins behind her, a single whisper rose from the dust. "Blood never dies, it only sleeps." The wind carried it away, and Ravenshade fell silent once more,